Juan Gonzalez, welcome to the call room Road to Balboa. How you doing this evening?
Doing great.
Fresh off of a win at NXR Heartland, if I'm not mistaken. This is a historic regional. I think you placed third there last year. The year before, Jackson Heidish and Birnbaum had that famous finish. And it always seems that
Yeah.
the winner of the regional meet is like a lock for top five at nationals. I know you want more than that. How do you feel 24 hours removed from this race?
It feels great, like kind of after watching the races before, like this year, watching like Heidish and Robert Matura kind of like playing the race out the way they did was like something I needed to work on because when I went to early last year and just got absolutely died the last 50 meters, I kind of knew how to you know just strategize a little bit, and I knew I had a good shot to win.
Every year the times seem to be crazy fast on this course. Both the year Jackson won last year when did Manny win last year or was it Robert?
Oh, Robert, yeah,
Robert won last year and then you this year, all in the 1430s, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah,
Is the
that's right.
course that fast or is it just the guys that run it are ridiculously fit? Or both? Probably both.
No, yeah, it's really fast. I mean, on a golf course, and there's only like two like steep hills, and then it's mostly just flat. So yeah, and the course is really like like hard ground. So yeah, it's really fast, and the weather's usually not too horrible. I remember the year Heidish won. It was like pretty cold that year, but last year was like 60s, and then this year was like 40s or 50s. So it's never too cold or warm. So yeah, it's perfect.
1433 for a 5K on grass. Is it crazy to you that you're running this fast and that this state and era of high school boys are running times like that where it would have been like unthinkable 3, 5 years ago?
Yeah, last year we ran faster than this year though. We were like 14:33. Manny and Robert were like 14:32. So then this year I was like 34. So I mean, I'm kind of used to those times now because I ran the same thing like earlier this season. So I mean, for that specific course, I knew like in the 30s is not that crazy fast, but I was kind of hoping like 14:20s or maybe like even sub 14:20. But I mean, I wanted to win, so that was the most important part. So I wasn't too worried about time.
Yeah, going into NXN and Foot Locker, these are guys that you're going to face again. Manny specifically, you're going to be in the same region as him again for Foot Locker. Is it
Yeah.
helpful racing them a few weeks before and kind of callousing yourself in terms of like race strategy and practicing some of the things you'll practice at both national meets?
Yeah, I mean, it's good to, get some experience with, some of the guys who are top in the nation. So it makes it, a bit like less, I guess, like nerve wracking, when you've already went up against these guys and beat them. So, and you kind of already know how to strategize against them and kind of use your strengths towards them. So, I mean, it's good to like run a fast race, but we still got like guys from like, the Northwest region and like California. So, it's been unfortunate that I don't get to race them before nationals, but I just have to find out then.
So you're from the state of Nebraska. I feel like rarely do you hear about kids, fast kids from
Yeah, I know.
Nebraska.
Yeah,
Take me through
exactly.
this, man. What makes you the anomaly here? I know you're a state record holder there. What does it mean to represent your state on a national level?
I mean, it's great, honestly. Like since like my freshman year, it's always just been my goal to be that guy from Nebraska who's like the greatest of all time, and slowly after each year, I kind of realized like it's real. Like I can really, it's something I can really do, and like I kind of figured that out last year when I ran 14:33. That was the fastest like 5K Nebraska like ever ran in high school, and then I kind of knew like it's definitely something I can call myself to be the best. And then especially junior track season when I got the 32 and 16 state record, then I knew it for sure like I can call myself the best distance runner in Nebraska. Now it's all just about going out and like doing stuff on the national stage that no one else has done in Nebraska. So, but I mean it's awesome to represent Nebraska because no one talks about Nebraska when it comes to running.
I have to ask you this. Do you have any comp in the state or are you like tempoing races and still winning?
I mean, it depends because so there's like four different classes, and then like class B, they have like three like pretty good individuals, but when it comes to class A, right now it's mostly just me, honestly.
I know last year, and I'm sure it's similar to this year, last cross season, you set school course records in 11 of your 12 races. Like every time out, you were doing something historic. Did you feel
Oh
like
yeah.
there was pressure on you to do something historic every time out? And if so, how do you kind of balance that?
Well, I mean, like yeah, like guys in our past like for like school records, like I like some of them are fast, but like I always just go into the race like not really with the intent of like breaking the record. Like yeah, we kind of just save those kinds of days for like state and like regionals and nationals. But I've never really like worried too much about like course records like in Nebraska. It's honestly like it's not that impressive. I mean like the school records are cool and all, but like I don't care like if I get the course record or not for like like our Fremont invite. Like it's all good. Like it's mostly just going after like state records. Like our so the course we run a state record on or state meet at is like the course record is 1451 and I ran 1452 at the state meet. So I was a little uptight about that, but it's all good. Yeah.
Do you feel like something like that puts a chip on your shoulder and makes you not settle too fast? Because maybe if you got it, then you'd be like, okay, I'm good. I don't have to
Yeah.
continue to work too
It
hard.
definitely motivated me a little bit more because I knew like I would have had it if I closed a bit harder, and I was just like it was just something I need to work on, like being able to close harder, and just it's all like mental when you're by yourself and in Nebraska going for a time. So
What's the legacy that you want to leave in the state of Nebraska when you go off to college?
I want to be that guy that everyone like in Nebraska, any young runner just like looks up to, and when they see my times and records and things that I've done, like I just want them to know like he was like the best one in Nebraska history, and I wanted to hold up for a while, and I mean eventually someone's gonna come along, get all my times, but it's good to kind of have like that, like just having like an era to yourself, not like knowing that you had the 5K, 2 mile and mile state record, and everyone kind of just knew you were like the best like distance runner. I don't know about 800, but I definitely call myself the best like 2 mile, mile, 5K guy. So I just want that to hold up for a while and people to kind of just remember me for that.
For you, as someone who is one of the best to ever do it in the state, if not the best to ever do it, why don't you think we see more high quality runners come out of Nebraska? What's the reasoning? What other sports are popular, and what do you think would have to shift to see that state kind of start to rise in terms of prominence within running in the states?
I mean, it's mostly just like population and like there's just like barely any talent here. Like there's so many kids from like Texas and California who are just so much more like have so much more depth and just talent in general. And I feel like here no one really like thinks about cross country. Like everyone like here just goes probably for football or like a different sport like that. But and it's also just like it's just a lack of like people like getting like I guess recognition for what they do here. Like and like I feel like no one is really motivated as much, to become great from here in Nebraska because like we're not talked about as much or anything like that. So
We've documented a lot of what you're up to present day and how you've gotten to this point, but I want to go back way back in the day to your start in the sport of running. Can you take me through that start in running and what your first impressions of the sport were?
oh yeah, it all came from watching my older brother run because he ran from like sixth grade up to like halfway through college, and he's like 6 years older than me. So I was like third grade when I went up for track club, and he was like in high school or middle school running, and I'd watch him. And it was always like the little brother wanted to become better than his older brother kind of thing. So I'd watch him and be like, one day I want to break his records and all that. So I went out for like track club in third grade, and then I just kept running since. Like, uh, I mean, the beginning was like I'd run like 1600s out like our like little track meets, and just I was pretty good about like I remember like I used to like you get side stitches and I'd be like dropping out of races all the time. It was funny, but yeah, I eventually like realized how good I was, and I just kept going with it, and then I'd say like around middle school is when I realized that this is like this is something I can really pursue and become special at because I used to play soccer as well, and up until eighth grade, because eighth grade was when I realized I needed to quit soccer if I wanted to become as good as a runner I can now. Because my brother he kept playing like soccer during high school, and then he got stress fracture, and then his whole career just went downhill after that. So I just knew to kind of just commit and go all in on running.
What was the point that you realized that you had potential in the sport of running? Whether it was a race, a workout and training, a coach telling you, what was the moment that you thought, man, like if I really put my nose to the grindstone, I could be something in this sport?
Ooh, there's been different like points for that, for me, but probably when I medaled at state my freshman year, cross country, I got 11th, which is it's not normal for someone to do that for like our school, and I kind of realized like I'm already like towards the top of the state, and I just keep going with it. I'd say also I kind of realized that when I ran 14:33 at regionals last year, and then I was like, I can really be like one of the top guys in the nation. So I'd say those different two events were the kind of like deal breaker for me when it came to realizing how good I was.
What was that first state title like? Take me through it. What did it mean to you? You mentioned placing 11th at your first state meet as a freshman. Bridge the gap between that and your first state meet and what it meant to you.
Oh, I mean, I was like ranked fifth going into that season, so I knew it was going to be good competition, and the way the race went out, and it was all just perfect. And when I won, I was just like, as a sophomore, like that's never been done before in our school history, and it hasn't been done like a few times in Nebraska. There's a kid from my class who like won 4 times, but like in class C, you can't really like brag about that because it's just like no one. But I think there was like one more person in class A who did it before me. His name was like Liam Chott. But once I won state my sophomore year, I knew like I could become like the first person in our school history to win 3 times. So it was just so special to me.
For you, the amount of state titles you've won a bunch. Is there one that's most memorable or meaningful? And which one?
Oh,
Which one and why?
it's got to be probably the state 1600 my junior year, because so the year before that, my sophomore year, I got the runner up in both the 32 and 16. So I had a huge chip on my shoulder going into my junior cross season. That's probably why I jumped so much and like ran 14:33 and all that, because I was just I was so dedicated after that state meet in track. But yeah, it was such a like cool atmosphere. Like the stadium was so loud and everything, because it was really like deja vu, because there was a runner from Midwest. His name was Jack Whitty, and he was like sitting on me in both races, in both the 32 and 16. And like with 300 to go, he passed me in both of them, and then he won. And then it was like the same scenario for the 1600, and he was like right behind me like for like the whole lap, and then like the last like 150, I just took off and I ran like 4 away. It was insane. Like I ran the state meet record, I think. Yeah, all in the same race. It was insane.
Speaking to that element of like that race giving you a chip on your shoulder going into the next season, how valuable do you think it is to frame challenges in that way versus I think a lot of kids, something negative will happen to them and they'll beat themselves up about it. They'll get down on themselves and it'll almost make them work less hard. But you were an example where you doubled down and ultimately, like you said, I probably ran 14:33 because of it.
Yeah, it's all much about like the way like you just kind of like harness that kind of energy from moments like that kind of just motivate you to just change your lifestyle and really just like you know go in every day and just put the work in, because I didn't want to like lose like that ever again. Like it was honestly kind of like I was so mad about it for like weeks, and I was just like like next year in like state track, I want to make sure I beat him and be able to call myself the best in Nebraska. So it's just all about becoming determined instead of like beating yourself up about it. So yeah.
You mentioned for weeks you beat yourself up about it. And I came across this saying a few weeks ago that a lot of times the best of the best hate losing more than they love to win. For you, where do you stand on that? Like, do you love to win more than you hate losing, or do you hate
Oh,
losing more than you love to win?
I probably hate losing more than I love winning. I mean, like moments like that, like it's cool to win sometimes, but like eventually you just got to get over and like focus on what's next. But like when you lose, like like you really like you feel it, like it's deep, like that state track like loss, like that sat with me for a while. Like the state championship was cool and all, but like it was all about like what's next. Like I got to work towards like what I want after that. But I feel like when you lose, like you kind of just trade that up for a little bit, and it's always just sitting there.
Talking about the Foot Locker Cross Country National Championships, you ran there last year. What was the impetus to come back this year? Give yourself another shot at history, back to back years.
I mean, yeah, I got 10th, so I mean, that I feel like that was a really good race of mine, and you know, it kind of motivated me because this year I definitely want to take the win because I kind of saw like how close I was when you look at like returns. I think I'm like fourth or fifth. I think based off returns, and I knew like how much I'm going to improve from last year to this year, and I can kind of see already how much I've improved, and it's definitely like, it's almost like inspiring to just think about like what the possibilities are, and with all the training I've done and all the hard work I put in, like what that can lead to for this year. So I'm excited for it.
Take me through qualifying for the meet last year. You're in the Midwest region, being from Nebraska. The Midwest every single year is so stacked and
Yeah, I
debatably
know.
like the regionals just as hard. So what was it like to qualify and what was that moment like of qualifying for one of your first national championships?
I was definitely like going into it. I was like, I wasn't as ready as I should have been because I got third at Heartland, so I was like, oh, it's whatever. Like I'll easily qualify. But then like I kind of forgot about Heartland and like Midwest are like two different regions. So I had to race guys like Cameron Todd and like who else was really good from like Thomas Russell. Like I didn't even know those guys at first because like they're in a different region for Nike, and then the Midwest for Foot Locker is just like so big, and there's like so many more guys I have to race, and then the race goes out and like I like charge to like the front pack, but then like throughout a mile I'm getting passed by like 20 people, like 25. So then like I was like nervous for a second because like I thought I was gonna qualify for a little bit, but then towards the end I just kept ramping it up and kicking it in, and then I was like 12th with like 400 to go, and then no, I'd say like 600, and then yeah, I was just passing people like crazy, and then it ended up sixth. So I mean, I mean, it was a little bit like nerve wracking mid race because like I see like Cameron Todd pass me with like a jersey on. I'm like, this dude's racing with a jersey, and he's like passing me like he's like nothing for him, and then yeah, I was just talking people down like Benjamin Anderson in the last like seventh. So it was a bit of a confidence booster like after it, but
Do you know the story behind the Cameron Todd jersey?
no, I don't. I was so confused when he passed. I was like, wait, why is he
Okay,
wearing?
so he came on the call room Road to Balboa last year, and we were talking about his love for NBA teams. And I was like, "You should do a race into Jersey." He's like, "Oh, should I?" And I was like, "Do it at Foot Locker Midwest." And so I bet him that he
That's
wouldn't,
funny.
and that's where it came from. So,
That's
so you
awesome.
ultimately qualify. One thing about that day, and it's just like previous years, it's always freezing in Kenosha. How do you
Yeah.
handle cold weather conditions, and how do you prepare yourself for something like that, if at all?
Well, so I mean, sometimes in Nebraska it can get that cold, but that's probably our coldest meet of the year. So before that, we're not really like ready for it. But we train in pretty cold weathers, but we're not really like racing in it. But honestly, I wasn't too surprised. When it was that cold, I just had to put on like arm sleeves and gloves. Because I never really dressed that cold for races, but that was like my one race I had to do that. But yeah, we were just chilling inside of the Parkview like college next to it. So I mean, it wasn't too bad. We weren't like sitting out like in the cold before the race. We were inside the gym or whatever, so it wasn't that bad at all.
Coming back to Foot Locker this year, second time running the regional meet, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if you've run it before then.
I ran it
For
my
you,
sophomore year, I think. Yeah,
okay, so
sophomore year.
third
Yeah.
year is the charm. How do you feel like you're taking both years of experience, but particularly last year where you qualified for the meet coming into this year? And how do you strategically approach something like this? Is it you're going for the win and you want the win, or is it more just like check the box and qualify and save your legs?
Yeah, definitely what you said about saving my legs. I kind of talked to Manny and Robert a little bit, and we want to keep it a bit easier because we have two national meets like after that. So we're planning on just qualifying. I don't really want to go out there and try and like drop a crazy time or something like that. I just want to qualify because I don't want to. It's almost like my district and state meet like the week before. We take districts pretty easy, so to kind of save ourselves. But I mean, if the race is there, like we're all in like a front pack and we're all there with 400 meters to go, I'll try to see go for the win. But if someone just like takes off and with like 1 or 2 miles left, I mean, I'll just let him have it. I'm not too worried about the Foot Locker Midwest win. Yeah.
So, talking about the national meet, what was your experience like last year? And take me through the race where you ultimately finished 10th.
Um, I was a little bit like freaked out at the beginning because I was like tying my shoe. I was tying my spikes behind like the sign, and then they're like about to take off, and I didn't get to like tuck my shoelace all the way in, and some guy like ran up to me and like told me they were about to start. So then I just had to leave it like that, and I ran up, and as soon as I got to the line, like the gun shot. So I was like, I had so much adrenaline in me, and I like took off to like the front for like a little bit, and then I got passed by a lot of people. I think I was in like 20 to like 25th for a little bit, and then yeah, towards the end, I just kept passing people. I could tell lots of people like they died from that hill because they went out too fast, and but that last 400, I was just flying by some guys. Uh, I think I caught like one more person, and it like got me to that second team All American because like you have your 1 through 5 and then 5 through 10. So again, that last person was kind of nice to put me in that 10 spot instead of like being third team All American.
Outside of your race performance, which was incredible, what was the experience like off the course, off of Balboa Park? Just like being at the
Yeah,
hotel or being around other athletes, speak to that.
yeah, it was such a fun meet in general. Like honestly, like you get so much more freedom compared to like NXN, where like they kind of keep you around the whole time, but like being able to like go around like, and it was also like a beautiful place as well. Like it's such a nice place to hang out, and like with the golf course and everything, like we walked over to like the beach, and it was really cool. And uh we also went back at night. We were walking around at night. It was fun, but just the atmosphere in general, the meet it's awesome, and meeting a bunch of new guys that I never talked to before because I'm in the middle of Nebraska. But like being able to kind of like learn a little bit from like the fastest guys in the nation was honestly like a great experience for me.
10th last year, you said earlier on in this conversation, like going for the win this year, senior year, what would it mean to win the Foot Locker Cross Country National Championships?
I mean, it would mean the world to me. I mean, it's been something I've been having my eyes on since last year because ever since like I guess like junior year, I knew like that was always something I was capable of doing, and I knew I was gonna do it last year. But once I saw like how I compared to the guys in my class, and the kind of work I can put in, I knew like it's a good shot that I can do it, and it means so much to me because this has been something like just like being able to win nationals and almost like being able to win both of them as well would be like the dream. But
Speaking on the history of the meet, obviously Drew Griffith won last year. He's doing great things in college. Cole Matisse won the year before. He's doing great things in college. And then you go back to 2018, Cole Hawker won. He just won the
yeah,
Olympics. Year before, Dylan Jacobs, multiple time NCAA champion, as well as fifth place at the Olympic trials in the 5K this past year. Go back to 2015, Drew Hunter. Back to 2014 and 2013, a man by the name of Grant Fisher, who won double
oh
gold at
yeah,
the Olympics. 2012, 2011, Edward Cheserek. I think he holds the record for most All-Americans in college at Oregon. You go way
yeah,
back in time, Dathan Ritzenhein won. This meet is filled with a list of champions, and I feel like the person who wins, it's like always an indication that they're going to do
yeah.
big things in their career. When you look down or hear me list the name of champions, what goes through your head?
And it just sounds like like so much history has been like ran at this meet, and like when you see like the guys that used to be in my shoes and kind of have the same like um the same thoughts that I had, and kind of like the way they went about this meet is kind of pretty inspiring because when I see how they placed and kind of seeing how I can win as well is it's inspiring because I just want to be like them one day, and it kind of just shows how like guys like me right now can possibly be as good as like guys like Grant Fisher who got third at the 5K and 10K, and guys like Cole Hawker. Like this is something that we can all do as well.
Juan, two more questions before we wrapping up this conversation. First one, more serious. For those who have listened to our conversation and look up to you and all the things you've accomplished, the legacy you've created, what would be the final takeaway message that you want to leave with the audience today?
I just say like the most important thing when it comes to running is you just gotta be patient and almost like start to like live a lifestyle that will lead you to success. And because that's the main thing that did it for me was like I'd say going into my sophomore year, I realized like if I want to become the best I can be, is it's all about living like the lifestyle as like a professional runner and doing all the little things right. Like once I started taking my sleep seriously and my diet and stretching and doing all like core and stuff like that, then that's when it really took off for me.
One final question for you here, man. Went to Foot Locker last year, going back this year. Outside of the race, what is the most exciting? What is the thing you're most excited about heading back in 2024?
Just meeting new people. I mean, the people that were there just made it so fun. So, such a great atmosphere.
Juan, appreciate the conversation. You taking the time to share your story and insights
Yeah,
from it, and excited to see you chop it up on December 14th at
yeah, I'm
Balboa Park.
excited. Thank you so much.